a jolly good morning to you from a rather overcast and chilly April morning here in Kent, specifically Rainham in Kent, which is not to be confused with the Rainham in Essex, which is not that far away from here, but it is on the other side of the River Thames estuary. I'm going to take a walk today from Rainham station, where I'm currently stood, out to a place called Horrid Hill. Never heard of it before, but it popped up on one of my walking apps that I use today, so I thought I'll give it a walk. I will do a secondary walk today, which will be from Horrid Hill to Gillingham, which is the previous station in the London direction on this particular line here in North Kent. So if you're interested in finding that walk, subscribe to my channel and you'll find it. This walk will have been published first, and a week or so later probably will be the walk from Horrid Hill back to Gillingham. So I'm just going to head off now. I don't really know much about this part of Kent. I've got a couple of walks on my channel in Kent, Broadstairs, Margate to Broadstairs, and a couple of others. Yeah, but this will be about my fourth walk here in Kent. So if you enjoy those, please let me know. I've got loads of others around Europe, around London, around Hertfordshire, and one or two other places that you might find interesting. So I'm just going to be heading down towards the River Thames estuary. At the moment I can see in the distance the cranes and riverside equipment, I think on the other side of the estuary, actually over in Essex. We'll have a proper look once I get down there, but for the moment just going to head off towards Horrid Hill and see how horrid it really is. Actually, I suppose I must explain, I'm not really probably going to get quite as far as the Thames estuary itself with the Medway, and be walking along, I suppose it would be the south side of the Medway estuary, or would it be the east side? I'm not sure. I'll have to double check my map, but I'm going to wind away to this Horrid Hill, which is on the Medway estuary. So if I was a bit confused there, you should be able to see the Thames estuary from there though. And obviously from there over the other side will be Essex. Charles Croft Road for any of you watching that live in this part of the world. Once again, I will just mention I have had comments in the past regarding music on my channel, on some of my videos, or most of my videos, and most seem to quite like the music, and a few commented that they didn't. So I'm just going to try a few without any music whatsoever and see if I get any comments on that. Where's your music gone, or that's better without music, whatever. Feel free to comment. All will be treated positively. I'm using one of my favourite apps today, which is called Go Jauntily. I mention this each time I use that particular app, or if I'm using Google Maps or whichever. It does vary dependent on where I am and what I'm doing. Go Jauntily has a series of, not sponsored by them incidentally, Go Jauntily has a series of fixed walks that people have uploaded in various areas, and I picked up the Horrid Hill walk as a circular walk from Rainham out to Horrid Hill and back. I'll only do half of that walk, although you can create your own walks just by putting an A to B where you are to somewhere else, and it will find a, in theory at least, a more, I should put it, green route, a more or less, not walking down the motorway, walking down side streets, footpaths, so on and so forth. So it makes for a nicer walk. So it's well worth using these apps if you can, as opposed to say Google Maps, which will just tend to send you the quickest way possible, but not necessarily the best way. So it's always worthwhile choosing your apps carefully based on what it is you're actually doing. Anyway, it is a really rather overcast day today. It's been a mixture of really nice weather recently, really warm shorts and t-shirt weather, then suddenly down to hats and coats again. today is sort of kind of in between temperature wise, but it might rain a little bit as we're going along, but I don't think it'll be too much. Just going through a fairly standard housing estate here on the edge of Rainham. Yeah, I quite frequently, as part and parcel of my daily life, end up in different parts of the UK, and I quite often, as I don't know those areas, use an app just to find a walk. This particular one I'm using today, you can do it like a circular walk or an A to B walk. I'm obviously doing the A to B, and if I hadn't have discovered that through one of the customer uploads, then I would have probably done a circular walk from somewhere like either Chatham, Gillingham, or indeed Rainham, and ended up back at the same place. But I identified two separate walks that I can basically join together and turn into one long walk, or two walks as far as the video and YouTube are concerned. And yeah, just don't really know too much about Rainham. I've heard good and bad things, but certainly this part of Rainham I'm walking through now, these houses and so on, it seems very nice, very quiet and peaceful part of the town. And hopefully we'll arrive somewhere of note fairly soon. This is a great thing about walking and exploring. You just don't know where you're going to be finishing up, and what you're going to see along the way. And sometimes these apps will direct you down little alleyways that you would never have gone down otherwise, and you see some of the most amazing things. Let's see if that happens today. So the first deviation I should say, off the most direct route to Horrid Hill is a little walk into Grave, a local nature reserve, as opposed to wandering along that road just there. Just sending me down this pathway. Luckily it's not rained an awful lot recently. I can imagine this was quite muddy. It's been a very, very wet winter here in the UK. So these sorts of paths were quite muddy and not great for walking on unless you had the right sort of boots on for quite a long time. It looks like we've been routed through a green space called Rainham Dockyard East and Rainham Dockyard. It'd be interesting to see what's actually there, but it kind of gives me an impression that there was a dockyard there and now there isn't. It's a green space, so that'd be interesting to see, and certainly would be a good use of derelict land, I suppose you could say. But let's see what we actually come to. We'll join in that once we get to the end of this nature reserve. There's actually quite a steep gully down there. I don't know if that comes out on the camera. It looks like when there's rain there'll be a bit of a stream going on down there, but it seems dry at the moment. These hazards are present in this area. Deep water, no swimming, caution uneven surfaces, slippery surface and danger sudden drop. Wow, I have to be careful. We've got a sturdy pair of walking shoes on today. There is certainly quite a steep gully down there, as I mentioned before, and though it doesn't look much water down there, maybe actually in fact I can see water now just down the bottom through all the bushes. I shall try not to fall in there. There's the muddy path I just walked down, and this path here that I kind of was walking parallel to. This has been, looks like it's fairly recently been resurfaced with that kind of gravel holding, matting, don't know what you'd call it really, just to keep it all in place, I suppose. Just coming towards the edge or the end of the nature reserve now, and into the area that appears to be called Rainham East Dockyard, or Dockyard East. I think we're just coming up to that now. That's a nice little walk through there actually, fairly peaceful and calm. Riverside Country Park. Hopefully a sign. There's actually a sign mentioning Horrid Hill. Is it Horrid Hill? So presumably these were dockyards at one time. And it appears to be the kind of country park that's given over to nature a little bit more than some, allowed to grow, help the flora and fauna thrive, rather than just chopping it all down to make it look nice, which certainly has got its place. Nothing quite like a nicely kept park to walk around, but at the same time that doesn't really help the wildlife as such. It's quite nice to be in under these tree cover, away from the wind. It's got a little sharp wind today blowing, quite cool, so in here's pretty sheltered. Doesn't seem to be, can't see much evidence of this having been a dockyard at one time. I'm sure probably there is if you rummage about in these hedges. You'll come across stuff. However, we are still a little way away from the actual water's edge at the moment. We're just heading towards it now. I just see a sign up here which might throw some light on things. Yeah, just a general sign letting you know what birds you can spot here. Cavemen lived here at one time apparently. We're currently just there. Going to head through all the way along the River Medway estuary and then out to Horrid Hill. It's probably about 30 minutes walk from here, I would say. That's the east dockyard or docks into the Rainham docks or dockyard. Just quickly across that road, and the Riverside Country Park continues. This looks a little bit more like it. Motney Hill. Ah yes, now this does start to look like former dockyards. Yeah, clearly evidence of a thriving dockyard at one time. This is the Medway estuary, which joins onto the River Thames just over there. It is tidal, and there is that smell of the sea here, which is not an unpleasant smell at all. Really quite refreshing actually. I understand this is quite a bird watcher's I wouldn't say paradise, but certainly a good area for those that like looking at the birds. A lot nest here. Certainly quite a few down there floating about in the water, swimming around. The route on the app's just sending me straight up there, although I'm going to take this slightly elongated route around what appears to have been a wharf or docks. Blaw's Wharf is an old industrial site. Please take care. Trip hazards and uneven surfaces. Yeah, so it's called Blaw's Wharf. Not much left of it now. Anything of value was taken away for scrap a long time ago. I'm guessing the wind's blowing quite heavily and making a wind noise. Sorry about that, can't do much about it. We're out in the open air on a river estuary, so it does tend to be a bit blowy even on a calm day. And yeah, there's some kind of marshes over there. I can see something that I think is probably Horrid Hill, but I'll wait till I get to it to see if that is actually it. This is very pleasant actually. My other walks I've done, Herne Bay, all around there. Very nice walks along these on these estuaries, the Thames estuary for Herne Bay, and of course the English Channel for Margate round to Broadstairs. Fantastic walks. This is almost kind of a they're called polders or dikes, I can't remember now, like they have in Holland, just to, the land over there seems to be at or below sea level, so I imagine flooding is a possibility if they have any tidal surges coming up the river. Almost feels, it does feel a little bit like being in Holland, although I can see, I think that's Chatham over in the distance there, which is definitely not as flat as Holland. It's quite hilly there. It's certainly a nice place to come for a stroll, and as I say, my entire walk today will be from Rainham all the way to Gillingham, although it will be two separate videos. So we're still in the Riverside Country Park, in an area that used to be docks, and an area that's called Lower Rainham. I didn't actually have time today to go into the little town of Rainham itself. I understand it's quite pleasant and worthwhile popping in there to get provisions if you're going to come and do a walk like this and you haven't already brought them with you like I have today. Pretty sure what I can see over there through the trees is Horrid Hill, which looks interesting from here. As I say, not really what you would class as a hill, but nevertheless that's what it's called, so I shall go and visit it. It's really rather pleasant out here, I have to say. I mean, there's the sign of now shut down industry, which has got its own interesting points, And of course over there on the other side, a sign of industry that is still presumably going strong. It's like large gasometers or some silos of some description.